my god, I'm starting. I know it's been a while. I've been in Korea for a year for working holiday, and I planned to make tons of content, post twice a week, and then I didn't. And the reason for that is I had an old laptop that kept crashing, but I also think I needed a break. Doing YouTube is my hobby and I love doing it, but I also love taking a long break and really enjoy Korea. But that doesn't mean I didn't film, because I filmed a lot. So maybe I'll do one video in Korea and one video from right here, right now, because I do want to continue making content and just post 2 videos a week. But I don't want to promise too much because... Anyway, this video is about why I left Korea, because I think it's an important question to answer, especially because I've always said I wanted to move and work in Korea, and the working holiday was kind of like the step up to get there, because I first wanted to experience living in Korea for a whole year and then hopefully find a job and permanently stay. Now, I do want to give a disclaimer that this video is not to talk bad about Korea. I just want to convey my experiences and my opinions. I will not be romanticizing Korea as I've seen in lots of content, but I will also not be criticizing Korea too much, because I feel like it's either one of the two and not really in the middle where it's just realistic. And that's where I plan to be in the realistic middle, where I still love Korea, but there are a few points to talk about. And I also want to put a disclaimer in there saying that the points that I will talk about Korea are not unique to Korea. It does not just happen in Korea. This happens in many different countries. The reason why I'm only talking about Korea is because Korea is the only other country that I've lived in besides the Netherlands. So I only have these 2 countries to compare to each other. And since I don't really want this to be just a talking video, I'll also be decorating some things for Christmas or whatever in between the video, because I don't want this to become a boring video. But let's start with the first reason, which is the work-life balance. When you mention I want to work and live in Korea, or I want to move to Korea, it's my dream, lots of people will warn you about work-life balance. The work environment can be incredibly demanding, with long hours and relatively low pay. The hierarchical system is also a known stressor, especially for foreigners who might not be accustomed to this structure. For me, it was quite hard because I'm Dutch, and lots of Dutch companies have a flat structure, so this was definitely very new to me. I was aware when I went to Korea that they work long hours, there's relatively low pay, so why did I still go? Well, I'm a strong believer in forming your own opinion after having your own experiences. So even if people tell you or warn you about things, I usually take it as advice, and I'm like, thank you. What did not work for that person, or something that did work for that person, might not be the same for me. And avoiding to do things because of fear from what someone has told you or warned you about can lead to missed opportunities. And you know, the 1 year in Korea was not easy at all. It was a lot of challenges for me, but it was also very rewarding. I had tons of opportunities that I'm so grateful for. And if I didn't go to Korea for 1 year, I would have missed out on all of that. So I want to talk about one job offer, and maybe it should have been a red flag when I got the job on the spot during the interview, because are there no other candidates? Don't you want to think about my experiences, and you know, don't I get time to think about this job? But no, I got hired on the spot and I was asked to return the next day. So I was starting to work the day after. And so I came to work, and there was not a contract ready yet, so they just put me immediately to work, which I do not recommend doing because I've had this experience before. I can't believe I fell for it again. But if there's no contract, they don't need to pay you. But anyway, during the day, I did get a contract to sign. On the contract, I will work 25 hours a week, because this is the legal amount to work with a working holiday visa. You're not allowed to work more. But even though the contract said 25 hours a week, the employer actually wanted me to work 5 days a week for marketing, and then also during the weekend. So basically working 7 days a week, which is nuts. And so to make sure that the government can really track how many hours you're working or how much salary you're given, the employer proposed to give me cash for the overtime hours. just for me, I can't do things illegally. I want to play by the rules. I don't want to get in trouble. So I declined the offer, and because I declined it and did not sign a contract, I did not get paid for the one day that I worked for them. And this is just one example, but it reflects a pattern I've seen and heard about from other foreigners working in Korea. It's not uncommon for foreigners to face exploitation and illegal work conditions, though this varies depending on the employer, and it's entirely up to you whether you accept it or not. I'm just a person with high morals, so I declined it, and I also prefer to have a healthy work-life balance, which might be difficult to find in Korea. The second reason is career. While I was in Korea, I really wanted to think about what I want to do career-wise, because I'm still looking like I don't know what to do, I don't know what to like, everything I've done. It was fun, but it was not really for me. And then I was like, why wasn't it for me? Because I've studied game development, which is an IT bachelor, and then I worked in game marketing. And I love games, but I just think office is just not for me. And it's not like there's something wrong with office work. I think office work can be perfect for other people. It's just, for me, it does not work. For me, it doesn't inspire me. It doesn't motivate me. I think I just want to work with my hands and just do something creative. I don't know what yet, but something that does not require me to sit behind a computer for 8 hours a day. It was tempting to find a job in Korea in the IT, because there's many jobs in the IT in Korea, and I think it could have been relatively easy for me. Getting a job in Korea that I don't like just to stay in Korea was just not big enough of a reason for me to do it, because like I said, you'll be working long hours. In Korea they only have like 12 paid days off for holiday compared to the Netherlands where we have 25. So even if I did stay and work there, I would not have a lot of time to explore Korea and have fun or create content, which is what I want to do. And so I made the decision to go back to the Netherlands, maybe do workshops or a course to re-educate myself in another field. But I'm still searching. Okay, the third reason is about foreigner rights in Korea. Korea is a master in promoting itself and creating campaigns to attract more foreign workers to come to Korea, especially due to its declining birth rate. What feels hypocritical to me is that while Korea encourages foreigners to come and work, it has recently dropped funding to the foreigner support centers that help foreigners to deal with labor right violations, unpaid wages, abuse, and discrimination. These cases happen more often than you think, and these centers, which are often run by a civic organization, offer some really crucial assistance. The government's plan to replace them with multilingual counselors in local offices has been met with skepticism, because many believe this new system won't offer the same level of support or understanding. So to me, if you as a country want to have more international workers, I think you should give them the adequate support and protection. I think it's not just a right, it's also an incentive for foreigners to stay in the country, because they're like, oh well, they really care about us and they want us to be here, so I would love to stay. That's how I would think, but maybe not everyone thinks this way. But I've also met people who had great experiences working in Korea with no trouble at all. So it is possible, I guess. But I do think that these people that I've met that had no problems are usually people who have a skill or knowledge that is hard to find in Korea. So really people that offer something special to a company. I feel like they get a lot more respect. But again, this is just by talking and networking to people. It's, there's so many more foreigners in Korea. I don't want to speak for them. So I'm just talking about what I've heard, I've seen, and experienced. Fourth one is gender rights. Should not come as a surprise. We live in a patriarchal world and Korea is no different. So I believe in gender equality, not just for women but for everyone. When the Netherlands decided that should mandatory military training ever be reinstated, let's hope not, both women and men would be required to do it. It's in my belief that if we want equality, it needs to come from both sides. Although I do think that women are a much larger disadvantage compared to men, it's still frustrating. Especially because these gender differences still exist in Europe. However, they are significantly larger in Korea, and you will most likely experience them as well as the foreigner treatment if you decide to work in a Korean company. I can't really say anything about an international company because I haven't worked there. But yeah, Koreans are strong and they will fight for their rights. I mean, if you've seen the news about the martial law a few days ago, you know they will. But the truth remains that the gender gap, for example in salary, is much bigger than in Europe. Among OECD members, Korea's gender pay gap is the highest. I think it's around 30% if I'm to believe Google. You know, at the end of the year, I was really asking myself, do I want to live in a country with these kinds of gender differences and foreigner treatments? And I'm glad I did this year, because before I went, I wouldn't have known about them, or not in the capacity that I do now. So if you aren't sure about this question yourself, I would highly recommend doing a working holiday in Korea, or just experience living in Korea for a few months and just experience it yourself, and then you can make a pretty good decision for yourself. And number 10. Number 5 is my favorite reason. It's specialness. So I've always been fascinated by Korean culture, history, traditions, basically everything. And Korea is also a very exciting and convenient country. If you think about the new exhibitions and pop-ups every month, K-pop comebacks, K-beauty, Korean food, theme cafes, convenience stores, the cheap transportation. I love it. It just shows you that Korea has so much to offer as a country. However, after living in Korea for a year, I realized that everything that makes Korea special, especially the little things, they become your new normal. So that special little treat of banana milk in a convenience store that you would run to after landing in Korea, it becomes normal because you can just go to a convenience store and buy it whenever you want. And so yeah, I decided that it would be better to return home, so that when I do return to Korea after a few months of hard working, once I find a job, I'll just enjoy everything so much more than when it's my normal life. Perhaps my reasons for the work-life balance and foreigner and gender rights might have sounded a bit doom and gloom. Right now, these are part of the reasons why I didn't want to stay in Korea, but I honestly believe Korea will continue to develop itself. If you look back at Korea in 1980, they've had tremendous growth since. It takes time to change old habits, and I'm not saying the Netherlands is a saint. There are plenty of things here that I don't agree with, but I have come to appreciate the Netherlands more after being away for a year. So will I never move to Korea? No, I have not discarded the idea of living in Korea. If the right opportunity presents itself with some good working conditions and like a good reason to be and stay in Korea, I'll definitely go. I love Korea. I loved the whole year that I was in Korea, even though it was very challenging. But yeah, I need to have a good reason, and right now I don't have one. I would love to work to get to one, but yeah, right now I think it's best if I stay in Europe for a while. Of course, I still want to go back to Korea for holidays. I would love to go back during baseball season. I love baseball season. I don't regret my working holiday in Korea. I wouldn't have these experiences and realizations if I hadn't lived in Korea for a year. You get to know a country on a different level. Well, that is if you invest in getting to know the country socially, politically, economically, culturally, etc. Wherever I am, I'll always want to inform myself about these aspects. It's not only interesting, but I also think it's important to understand the country and show respect by educating yourself in these matters, especially when you decide to live in a foreign country. I would recommend against moving somewhere just because you enjoyed it during a holiday. A holiday is just not enough to get to know a country. And I also don't think having studied in a foreign country counts as knowing the country, because I have studied in Korea, and my studying experience in Korea and my working holiday experience are two very different experiences. Because during my time as a language student, it was way easier. My university would help and support me with everything. Whereas with my working holiday, I had to do everything myself, figure things out all on my own, because it took me some time to make some friends. So yeah, it really was not easy. But if I hadn't taken the opportunity to move to Korea for a year, I would always question myself, what if I had gone? A working holiday in Korea is different for everyone. The first 3 months to me were very challenging, and I was seriously considering returning home. I might talk about this in a different video later, but it just doesn't fit in this video right now. But yeah, even in the 9 months that followed, they were significantly easier. There are still difficulties that I needed to deal with. But then again, I've also met other working holidayers who had no problems at all, and everything was a breeze. I wish it was the same for me, but it wasn't. So if you're thinking about doing a working holiday in Korea, I can only encourage you to do it despite what everyone is telling or warning you about. Like I said earlier in the video, take other people's experiences and warnings as an advice and then get your own experience. It is important to stay open-minded and make decisions based on your own values and circumstances. And that's also what I want you to do with this video. Take my experience as advice, but don't let that stop you to go to Korea. Please go to Korea, make your own experiences, and then let's share stories. And I think with that, I'm going to end today's video. I think I've been talking far too much, so I hope this wasn't too boring. But thank you for listening to my ramblings, and then I'll see you in the next video. And then hopefully I'll be able to post 2 videos a week. So thank you for coming back if you've been a viewer before, or thank you if you're a new viewer. See you on the next video. Okay, bye bye.